on the road since we've got so many things to do tonight. I'm Amanda Gwatney. This is Stephen Miracle. We're going to be the moderators this evening. First of all, on behalf of the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce Governmental Affairs Committee, we welcome you to the event tonight. The committee members include myself, Teresa Bedez, CJ Green, Stephen Miracle, and Tommy Vinoy. And if y'all could stand, please, so they can recognize you. Thank you for your work on this. And of course, our coordinator is our leader of the chamber, Jan Hackett, chamber president. Jan, if you'll stand up, please. We also have with us this evening some students from Fannin County High School that are part of the Student Ambassador Program. And so they are back here in the back. Girls, if you'll raise your hands. We have with us Allison Cole, Hannah Fortenberry, and Riley Marine. And they are here as a part of the Student Ambassador Program that was established by Secretary of State Brian Kemp. And the goal is for them to have opportunities to engage as leaders within their schools and communities. So throughout the program, they gain leadership experience by engaging in Georgia civics, encouraging voter registration, and volunteering within their communities. So each year there are quite a few of them who are in the group. A lot of them have band practice tonight, so these are the ones that could be here. So we thank them for being here. If you have a question that you would like to submit to the committee for consideration to ask the candidates for tonight, if you will just raise your hand, one of our students will come around and bring note cards and pens, and you can fill out the question that you would like to have asked, and then return it to them, and they will submit it to the Governmental Affairs Committee, and they'll screen those, and we'll ask as many questions as we have time for tonight. Okay, as I said, Stephen Miracle is here as my co-moderator, and we didn't practice, so we're just going to, we may be nudging each other as we go. We're going to hear from all of the candidates for posts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Blue Ridge City Council, and also for mayor of Blue Ridge. And approximate times are in the program, but that's just a guide, of course, depending on how long the candidates take to answer the questions. They will have, first of all, a 2-minute opening statement. Then they will be asked several questions from the committee and from the audience if there's time permitting. And we will be randomly drawing questions from the fishbowl. And then taking audience questions as we can. So the questions that we are using this evening were suggested to the committee by city residents and others. So we've gotten input from a variety of people to develop the questions for this evening. Each question also has a 2-minute response time. Then as I've said, anytime during the portion where the candidates are being asked questions, if you have a question you would like to throw in, just raise your hand, and the student ambassadors will be looking for hands raised to provide note cards and pens. The chamber staff members, Diane Malerney and Kim Foster, will be in the front row timing our candidates, and will let the speakers know when 1 minute is up and then when the 2 minutes is over. So they'll have their signs up here at the front, and the speakers hopefully can see those and stop when it says stop. This is a forum, not a debate, and we will not use personal questions, just questions about the issues. So everybody will have an opportunity to address those specific things rather than personal issues. After the question and answer period, the candidates will have a 2-minute closing statement as well. And we would like to thank ETC and Fetch Your News for taping tonight's event, and both of them are showing this live. So we are live on ETC right now, and also Fetch Your News Facebook page. So we appreciate them being here and helping other citizens be able to see the event if they weren't able to be here in person tonight. All right, we would also like to ask that the candidates not campaign or distribute campaign materials in the PAC auditorium, but there will be time for that outside of the auditorium. For the audience members, please turn off your cell phones. Make sure those are on silent so that that's not interrupting anybody's train of thought if they go off in the middle of an answer. And please limit your response to the answers to polite clapping. The candidates can either speak from the table or the podium. So it looks like the microphone has been changed out there, so that should work. And we will first begin with the post 1 candidates. And you'll notice in your program, Mr. Herndon was not able to be present tonight. So for post 1, we have Jane Whaley.
You may do a 2-minute opening statement.
Yes. I'm Jane Whaley, for those of you who don't know, and I'm running for City Council Post 1. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I graduated from the University of Arkansas with a bachelor's degree in science and education. I've been in Blue Ridge since 1992. By the way, I forgot, we have 4 girls, that was 4 weddings, and we have 7 grandchildren. So that's just been a joy. We came in 1992, and in 1995 I bought my business, Sycamore Crossing, and I ran that for 25 years downtown, and that was just a joy. Everyone that knows me knows that I love Blue Ridge with all my heart. I decided to run for council for several reasons. One, that I've been here 30 years and I feel like I know this city and the people that live here. I've attended many council meetings in the last 4 years, many, and I've spoken at those. And I feel like I have my finger on the pulse, and I believe that this council, with the exception of one, Rhonda Thomas, is exceedingly dysfunctional, and it breaks my heart. So I thought, I'm going to do something about that. Some of the objectives that I will take with me if I'm elected: I want to keep property taxes very low. I want to make sure that we protect the residential zones so they stay residential. I want to improve infrastructure, water, sewer, roads. I want to be accountable to everyone here. I want to be focused, organized, and diligent, and I would hope that our whole council would do the same thing. And I would like you to know at the bottom of my heart, I will never, ever make a decision that would ever profit me, that would ever benefit my business, or for any vindictive or spiteful spirit. I am going to work for you every day for 4 years if you elect me. So these are promises. I ask you to vote for me, Jane Whaley. 9 seconds.
We have a couple of questions for you. We'll start with the first one. What are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
Oh, there's so many that I could hardly write them all down. We have some issues in this town. This town is one of the most beautiful little towns in this country, and it's been voted that, so I'm just not saying that. But the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure we keep property taxes low for our citizens. That's very important. We all work hard, and we have other ways to subsidize your property taxes. That's important. I want to make sure we protect, when we're zoning needs to be revamped. The zoning is kind of splotchy, so I want to make sure that the city business district does not encroach on the residential section, because that's what makes our city so precious and so charming, is that the houses are right into the city, and I will do everything in my power to keep it that way and to listen to the residents, because you've been here and you have a big voice, and I want to listen to everyone. I want to spend our money wisely. I feel like sometimes that hasn't been done in the past. And of course, we got to work on our sewers. They're crumbling. A lot of them are tearing from lines, water drainage, flood control. There are a lot of things we need to work on.
Okay, the second question, would you be in favor of hiring someone to fill the position of city administrator? What do you think the duties of a city administrator would be, and why or why not?
Well, on the surface, I would say yes, I am very open to a city manager. I would need to do a little more research, but in the town that I lived in of 10,000, in Arkansas, we had a city manager, and it was great. We need to look into that, and it seems to me that the city manager is the one who goes out and organizes the projects, finds out if we should do them, all of the particulars, like the city council has been doing themselves. That's a lot of work. Plus, he's more knowledgeable. Then he brings all that information to the city council, lays it out, and then the city council votes on, yes, we want to do this, no, we don't. So it just seems like Blue Ridge would greatly improve if we had a city manager. But I need to look into it because I haven't really studied it yet.
Thank you. The next question, this one. Okay, thank you. The next question, how do you as a candidate propose to protect existing neighborhoods against commercialism in the area, especially neighborhoods like West Main, Ada Street, and Top Street?
You know, that's going to be my priority. I have some property on East 2nd, and a house there as well for my daughter. And that is going to be what I would like to focus, variances and zoning. And right now we have some businesses that are in the city, some that aren't in the city. We have the zoning that goes kind of willy-nilly in there. And so right off the bat, I think we need to change some of the charters and make sure that, for instance, an idea would be just to zone it in blocks. You can't just have a business and a few houses and a business. We need to keep that contiguous, and we do not need to infringe on the residential areas that are set. They have been there, and I really, there's a time when Blue Ridge is Blue Ridge. And we're not going to be going like you see these businesses going all around the corner. No, 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 no. I don't want that. I have businesses downtown, but I think we need to keep our parameters basically like they are on the main street into the residential area. But we'll listen to the citizens what they want to do.
Okay, next question. Do you have any annexation plans, and if so, what are they? What would be the benefits to the city, and if not, why not?
I think annexation is a very good idea, and it would be a great benefit to the city because tax dollars would come rolling in, really. You know, we have some neighborhoods that have city water, but they're not a part of the city. So they're getting our utilities and our infrastructure without paying. They pay for the water, but they do not pay city taxes. And so I am for annexing, making the city larger, especially taking in the people who get our water and some sewer. And I believe that in the future it should be written in a contract. If we take the water or the sewer or garbage pickup, anything, out beyond, we have to have it in writing. You're going to be incorporated into our city and help us pay taxes. You're going to ride on the roads, etc. So, yes, I would like to annex. I don't have a plan on how far or where, but I will have if I'm elected.
Will you, during council meetings, act in a calm and professional civil manner towards other members and the public, no matter who is on the council?
And that was an audience question.
You have my promise. You have my promise that will happen. I will be respectful to every council member, and I will be respectful to every citizen of Blue Ridge, to every citizen of this county or any county, and to any person who is sitting in that audience of the council meeting, because I have been in that council meeting when that did not happen. And it's embarrassing, really, and it's a shame. And I've thought about that, and I've voiced my opinion on that in the meetings. And so that is a promise, and I will not break that promise ever at any time.
Okay, that concludes the questions for this segment. If you would like to make a closing statement, you're welcome to at this time. And again, that will be 2 minutes.
Well, I wanted to come here and tell you all a little bit about myself. And you just heard a little snippet, but I hope I have some time, and I will have some time before the election comes around. I'm sad that Mr. Herndon's chosen not to attend, because he could tell you what he's done for you. He could have told you what he wants to do for you, but he's decided not to come. I don't know if he was ill, frankly. I don't know that. But too bad that he's not here. I will say this, that I know Mr. Herndon is a lovely man. I do. And I know he's respected. I would say that I also know that I will be a better council member. I will be energetic, and I will work for this city with all my heart. So please vote for me, Jane Whaley, Post 1.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If the candidates for Post 2 would please join us on the stage. Please welcome the candidates for Post 2, Rhonda Thomas and Angelina Foster Powell. The candidates will begin with a 2-minute opening statement. We'll start first with Rhonda Thomas.
Begin by thanking the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this event, and to all of you who have taken time out of your busy schedule to be here. To give you a brief history, I grew up in Cherry Log and have lived in Fannin County ever since, been here my entire life. I'm blessed to have a beautiful daughter, Brooke, and 2 wonderful stepchildren, Kennedy and David. My husband, David Haight, is also a lifelong resident of Fannin County. And in fact, we live in a house in downtown Blue Ridge that's been in his family for over 100 years. Needless to say, we love our community, and I would not trade it for anything. In reference to my experience and my ability to be an effective leader, I'm currently serving my 2nd term on the City Council. I've devoted countless hours to helping the city move forward. My voting history reflects a candidate who cares about the finances of our town, while at the same time understands that Blue Ridge is comprised of both a residential and a thriving business community, and the two go hand in hand. My voting history over the past 8 years reflects a candidate who listens to the community and votes accordingly. For instance, I'm the only candidate who voted no when the other candidates or the other city council members voted to not renew the school resource officer contract. This is with Blue Ridge Elementary. After the vote, fellow council members followed my lead and re-voted. With that, we now have a school resource officer at Blue Ridge Elementary. That was important to our children. I am one of 2 council members who voted no on a request for a frivolous investigation of council that cost the taxpayers close to $40,000. I am the only council member who voted no to 3-hour parking in downtown without a comprehensive plan.
Time's up. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sorry, I had more, but I can add it on my conclusion. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Powell, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Hello, my name is Angelina Powell. I'm a candidate, I'm running for a candidate for the Post 2 City Council. First, I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this forum tonight. Blue Ridge has been my hometown for 48 years. I am married to Anthony Powell. I have 3 children, and also 3 grandchildren that I'm very proud of. There are many reasons I have chosen to run for this position. First and foremost, I want to be a new voice for the people, for the residents of our city. I also have a vested interest in the downtown Blue Ridge. I own and operate Three Sisters Fudge. I would like to see unity and a council that could work for the betterment of our beautiful city. I do not consider myself a politician at all. I simply care about my hometown. This is where my heart is, and what I can offer to the residents and business district. It's simple, everyone. Just keep the citizens' best interest in mind and listen to them. I want to keep them in my heart at all times. If a council has an interest for the citizens, as they should, like I do, there would be unity. I want to see our city thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now start with the questions portion. Each candidate will have time to answer the question that was asked. And they'll have 2 minutes to answer these questions. The first question will be Rhonda Thomas, if you'll start to answer the following question, please. What are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
My top priorities will be parking. Parking is a huge issue in downtown, and it's really come to light recently. That's going to be one of my top priorities. We also have infrastructure issues involving flood drainage, and that's a huge problem right now. And I think that's one of the things we definitely have to get fixed. I also feel like we need to start looking at downtown development authorities and implementing that into our program just to help our businesses. And the more our businesses, the better they do, the more it's going to help our citizens, our tax base. So we want to make sure that we're working on the issues that are important, and also replacing old water lines and old sewer lines. That's of utmost importance.
Ms. Powell? I'll repeat it for you. What are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
First of all, I have to agree, there has been a parking problem. I have owned my business, like I said, for 17 years, downtown Blue Ridge. We are growing. We're not going back. Blue Ridge is a destination. We are known everywhere I go, on trips, vacations. Someone will ask, where are you from? And I'm sure it's from my accent. But they'll say, where are you from? I say, Blue Ridge, Georgia. They know where that's at. But I also want to listen to the citizens more, too. I've been out walking and talking with the citizens of Blue Ridge. When we make a promise, sometimes we make that promise lightly. We take it lightly. We tell someone, oh, we'll get back with you. I've even been told this by some citizens, that they've asked questions and asked for things to be done, and they couldn't get a response. All it takes is finding out what the problem is. If it's grooming, the grass, the water drainage, the parking, anything like that, just get back with the person and talk with that citizen and that resident and let them know that you did go above and beyond to try and work for them. They are the voters. They are who put you in. And it shouldn't take 8 years for these things to take place and for people to recognize these problems. They talk about the roads and the streets that need to be paved, and they'll patch them. Well, those were like that 8, 10 years ago, and now we're doing it? No. Let's look at those things now. and take those into consideration and listen to our neighbors and listen to what they have to say.
Okay, the next question. What is your position on consolidating the Blue Ridge City Police and the Fannin County Sheriff's Department? Would you consider it? Why or why not? Actually, yes, we're going to switch this time. Ms. Powell, if you'll go first, since Mrs. Thomas answered the last question first. Okay. What is your position on consolidating the Blue Ridge City Police and the Fannin County Sheriff's Department? Would you consider it? Why or why not?
I think the city police do a great job. I don't think they need to be micromanaged or anything else. I think that the county has enough to do as it is. I think that the county, the way that it works downtown sometimes, there's little silly issues that we have to go on that the city has to come take care of and look at. And I don't know that the county would be able to do that and to understand for that. They have a large area that they have to cover, and they do a great job also, as well as the city police department does. And I feel that, no, I don't think consolidating would be the correct thing to do.
I totally agree with Ms. Powell. There would be no reason to ever consolidate the two. The county is comprised, our county is pretty large. I sell real estate, and I can show in our county and be all over the place all day and show just in Fannin County. So with our limited number of officers, even in the county level, we certainly need them out in the county working those areas. Our city police department, they're actually trained for the ordinances that the city implements, and that would be very difficult to train and make sure that everyone knows the same laws with our city. So there is no way I would ever possibly consider consolidating the two, because it would not be beneficial to our residents. The residents of Blue Ridge pay their taxes, and with that, money goes towards paying salaries for the police department. And that would be the most illogical thing to do. It would hurt our community. So no, I would not support that.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, you'll be the first to answer this following question. In the past, zoning issues have been front page news, and they have cost the taxpayer legal fees and precious resources. What is your opinion on the zoning board, and will you put personal wants and desires aside to properly represent the best interest of the city?
I will say, first of all, I have always put my personal desires to the side. I always look at the situation, I listen to what's going on, especially with our zoning board. We have a very qualified zoning board that when they have a hearing for a zoning ordinance or a zoning request, they have a process that they go through. They have a hearing. It's also advertised so that the public can come. When they approach the city council with their decision, I have always respected their decision and supported what they've said, because they're the ones who attended the meetings, and they're the ones who conducted the hearings for the zoning. So I feel it's very important that we have people on the zoning board who we listen to. Furthermore, I also feel like the city needs to implement possibly required training so that as future people come on, we always have people who are responsible and who understand zoning laws, because they change all the time. And it's extremely important that we follow them. And again, I always put my personal desires aside and vote on what's best for the community, and especially in regards to zoning.
Let me reread the question. In the past, zoning issues have been front page news, and they have cost the taxpayer legal fees and precious resources. What is your opinion of the zoning board, and will you put personal wants and desires aside to properly represent the best interest of the city?
Yes, I would put my personal aside. On the zoning, I agree. I think there needs to be education. I'm on the variance board now, which is a little different than the zoning board. And when I went on to begin with, I wasn't aware. I had to do a lot of study, but I put 150% of my time into studying that myself so I would know exactly how to work that. So with the zoning, I feel that there does need to be more education, and I would never, ever zone anything for personal issues or for anything to gain for myself.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Powell, we'll let you start this question. What is your position on packaged liquor sales in the city? Explain why and tell us how you would support or fight it. Okay, what is your position on packaged liquor sales in the city? And explain why and tell us how you would support or fight it. Yes. Well, just it's not determined specifically. There's not a specific proposal, just in general.
I personally would have to talk to the citizens about that issue and see how they felt about it. Bringing in liquor sales and packaging, they did vote in the Sunday sales, the Sunday for the restaurants. I think that should be, in my opinion, a vote for the city residents and the citizens that if they want the packaged liquor sales.
As of now, Fannin County, or Blue Ridge itself, we have beer and wine sales. We also have distilled spirits, which came into existence during my second term. It was sent to referendum, and the citizens did vote on that. The only thing that we're lacking now is package sales. And the process to get this would be that 30 to 35% of registered voters would have to sign a petition, and they bring that before the city council. And then the city council would vote, as we did before, to send it on to referendum, which means the voters are going to decide. So your voice is the ones that you're going to be heard. All we are is almost like we act as a liaison between you guys on this issue. So I would not go out and obviously actively support it, but I will listen to what's being asked of us by the citizens. Currently, we have package sales in Gilmer County. There is a liquor store, sells beer, wine, and liquor, and people are stopping there before coming to Blue Ridge. We're losing a lot of money in sales. So I would certainly look at this issue if it's brought before me, because I feel like we could bring in a lot of revenue. And again, this is the only current thing that we have where we don't serve, we don't have package sales. So that is an issue I know that's going to come up. I think we would also have to limit the number of licenses that are given so that you don't become inundated with so many package stores. You know, our previous councils talked about possibly, if this ever is brought before us, maybe issuing 3 licenses for that. So 2 to 3. But that's something we would all have to discuss. And of course, we have to hear from the citizens. It's up to you guys as to what you want.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, if you will be the first respondent to the following question. Blue Ridge does not currently have a city manager. Would you support a change in the city charter to authorize the mayor to serve as the city's CEO in order to implement the policies and budgets approved by the council?
Yes, I would. Preferably, though, I would prefer to change the charter so that we do have a city manager. That is one thing we've talked about in executive session. We did have, because our form of government is not set up for a city manager, we had someone in place who served with the City of Blue Ridge as an employee for almost 30 years, and he was called a city administrator. And he did act almost as a CEO, which is what a city manager does. My opinion is that we allow a city manager to come in, or a city administrator, because the mayor has so many duties in itself, the mayorship job. So I think you definitely have to look at getting that. To me, I was asked earlier, one of the most important things that we need to look at, and that is one of my top priorities as well, is having the charter changed so that we can implement a city manager. We are growing way too quickly not to have one. And again, this person acts as a CEO. They oversee every department. They would oversee the water department, park and recreation, police, office administration, and they act in the capacity where they understand they come back to the city council, and it's a necessity. With our city growing at the rate it's growing, with all the grants we have going, with all the potential of Downtown Development Authority, we have to have someone in the office full time. I've actually been approached by citizens, I know one of them's here today, who has complained that when they go into City Hall, they can't get a correct answer from anybody about zoning, because we've lost two valuable employees, and our zoning administrator and our city administrator. And it's imperative that we get them back in place at this time. The city council, we set policies, procedures, the mayor acts as, she has administrative powers, but you have to have someone in place for this.
Ms. Powell, the same question is, Blue Ridge does not currently have a city manager. Would you support a change in the city charter to authorize the mayor to serve as the city's CEO in order to implement the policies and budgets approved by the council?
I have to agree. I am in favor of the city manager. We are growing, like I said before. We are not backing up. We are growing. We have the train. Each year it grows more and more and more. I think that the mayor has a lot of duties that's already on her plate that she has to do and take care of and look at. And so, yes, I would be in favor of looking at the charter, discussing it, and taking all of that into consideration of what is going on, because there's too many things to be looked after and to be looked at. And I would love to see a city manager that could bring back things to the council, if I'm elected, that we could discuss and talk about. So yes, I'm in favor of a city manager.
Okay, at this time we'll move to closing statements. Ms. Thomas, you'll have 2 minutes.
I'd like to conclude by saying that my decision to run for city council was an easy choice. I love my community, and I want to see my children come back to this area and raise their families. I want to see businesses thrive and residents reap the positive rewards of living in a successful town. During my 8 years as a public servant, I've been blessed to be part of the completion of 3 phases of streetscape, the opening of our new water plant, the paving of over 50 areas of roads, the renovation of numerous sidewalks, the growth of our city police department, and the downtown park project. These are just a few of the things that I am most proud of, but I have a list of things that I want to continue to give to this community, and I promise you, if you vote for me November the 7th or in early voting, I will give my all to you just as I have done in the past, and I will always be that person who listens to what you want. Again, I appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Powell, if you'll give us your closing statement, and then you'll have 2 minutes.
In closing, I would like to say it's been an honor to speak tonight. Just like it would be an honor to serve as a member of the Blue Ridge City Council. The city residents and the people know me and understand that I would not be a puppet to no one. But citizens, I feel, are ready to have someone that can think independently. And I am that person. I have ran my downtown business for 17 years. I would like for you to know that I would be conservative with taxpayers' money, just like I am with my own money. I choose not to take any public donations to fund my campaign. I elected to run for this position and therefore did not want to be obligated to anyone. I believe in term limits. I think 2 terms is a reasonable amount of time for anyone to be on the council. If you cannot get results in that period of time, let someone else have a chance. Give them, let's see what their ideas are. I am a proud supporter of our police department. We should all be proud of the men that put on the uniforms to protect and serve. We should all be thankful for them. I have walked the streets, and I have been walking the streets through this election, and met many residents and listened to their concerns. Tonight, I come to you and ask humbly that you cast your ballot on November the 7th for me, Angelina Powell, for Post 2 Blue Ridge City Council. I have a vision for an improved Blue Ridge. Everyone have a safe and blessed weekend. Thank you.
Will the candidates for Post 3 please join us on the stage? Please welcome the candidates for Post 3, Angie Arp and Kenneth Gaddis. As before, each candidate will have an opportunity to have an opening statement, and there'll be 2 minutes to do that. Ms. Arp, if you will please do your opening statement for us.
Good evening. I'm Angie Arp, and I want to first thank the Chamber for allowing the candidates the opportunity to speak and for hosting this event. I've lived in the city of Blue Ridge for almost 50 years. My entire life has been involved around the city, from attending Blue Ridge Elementary School to spending my childhood summers at the city pool, to starting my first job at Sky City Department Store, to raising my children here, which I have 2 beautiful daughters. My oldest daughter is a attorney in Sandy Springs, and my youngest daughter is in grad school for physical therapy, and to operating my own businesses in the city. My life history is in Blue Ridge, and I'm passionate about my hometown. I've worked in businesses in Blue Ridge, dealing with employees and consumers since I started managing Goody's clothing store at the age of 20. And today I employ 35 to 45 employees in various jobs within 5 businesses I own and operate. I'm known in my own business as someone that improves, expands, and gets things done. Over the last 30 years, I've learned the importance of planning and saving in order to accomplish the goals I set for my business. My personal experience in business has helped me accomplish the goals I had for the city when I was elected 4 years ago. I played a major role in overseeing and accomplishing much-needed improvements for our city, such as the downtown East Main Street and sidewalk improvements, completing and reopening the depot, the repairs and repaving of residential streets throughout the city, designing and overseeing the installation of a new playground downtown.
Okay, time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gaddis, if you will share your opening statement with us.
Well, I'm a little nervous because I'm probably not the most eloquent speaker here tonight, so you'll just have to forgive me for that. I'm Ken Gaddis. I'm running for Post 3, Blue Ridge City Council. A little about me is I grew up here. I attended this high school. I graduated this high school. My beautiful wife over there, she graduated this high school. And all 4 of our beautiful little daughters over there go to the city school up here. They're everything to me. I just want to make them proud. People ask me, why do you want to run for city council? And I said, well, the things I would like to bring to the city council are many different things, because being a citizen, I've seen the council, I've understood some of the things, I've understood some of the decision making, and some of the things I've been frustrated with. But the one thing that I want to invest is the future of our school system. A lot of times we look too much into business, we look too much into other things, but we need to bring the school kids more into this system. We need to invest in them for their knowledge. We need to prepare them for their future. Without the kids, we're just leaving a legacy of emptiness. So I say we give to the kids. We bring the kids in and let them decide if this is something they want to pursue their career. As for the city, I love the city pool up there. Y'all probably seen it. I want to see great expansions for the pool. The citizens deserve it. Talked to many of you out through Dutch streets. And I'm glad to be here. I'm honored to be here to represent you today. Thank you.
Thank you both. We'll now enter the question portion of the forum. As before, the question will be asked. You will each have an opportunity to answer the question. Please limit your responses to 2 minutes. The first question will be from Ms. Arp. What are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
Well, the city has a lot of needs, and I guess
If you'll pick up your microphone, then I'll be
the
able
city has a lot of needs, and I guess first priority would be infrastructure, water and sewer. Of course, without that, we wouldn't have a city. We can function. We've got the East Main Street project completed, which was a big project. So infrastructure would be what I would want to work on. I've thought about this for years. I would love for this community to have an indoor pool. I agree with Mr. Gaddis. Improvements need to be made to our pool, our existing pool now that we have our current pool. Even the playground in that area, I've got a design, that I've brought to the council several times. We've got other things that we need to spend money on, so it's had to take a back burner for now, put it in the back burner. But I would love to still see improvements to the park. There's just numerous things, still streets. There's streets that we can still work on. We've got most of them, the major part of them in pretty good shape. But there's just so many things. But infrastructure and an indoor pool would be my two top priorities.
Thank you. Mr. Gaddis, I'll repeat the question for you. What are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
I agree with Ms. Arp. Infrastructure is the key to success. I'll say this honestly, out of all the candidates, I'm more qualified in infrastructure than anyone up here. Because with my Master 2 licensing, I understand the process it takes not to just install, but to maintain and to make sure everything's running properly. We have had significant just flooding. What's going to happen when we have 4,000 tourists downtown and it floods and everybody's up to their knees in crap? Being a plumber, I know what it's like. I agree with Ms. Arp that the infrastructure has to be done. But I'm a little upset right now because we're paving roads that the water lines hadn't been replaced under. So yes, infrastructure is my focus, and it don't even go no further until infrastructure is done. You start from the ground and you go up from there. Thank you.
Okay, this question, Mr. Gaddis, will let you start with this one. And it says there's been some talk about allowing business owners the ability to vote in city elections. This would require state legislative action, which would be difficult, if not impossible, to obtain. Since businesses pay property and sales taxes, what are your thoughts on this? And what is a possible solution to make sure business owners have a voice in decisions that affect their business?
I've pondered this because I've had business owners talk to me about wanting to vote. Everybody decided. Property owners want to be able to. It is a legislative system. There has to go through a lot of documentation to approve. Right now, the citizens reserve the right to vote, and I speak to the citizens. Thank you for your support in everything you do. Business owners, you are the backbone also of this city. There's this thing called the engine that runs Blue Ridge. It is the citizens, it is the businesses, and it is the tourism. Without the businesses, there's no reason for tourism. Without no tourism, there's no sales tax. Without any sales tax, we can't offer utilities to citizens. My goal here is to help keep that engine running. When we all start running in unity, everyone prospers from this. Thank you.
Question. Okay. There's been some talk about allowing business owners the ability to vote in city elections. This would require state legislative action, which would be difficult, if not impossible, to obtain. Since businesses pay property and sales taxes, what are your thoughts on this, and what is a possible solution to make sure business owners have a voice in decisions that affect their business?
Well, as it is now, since it's not a law, I mean, we all represent the citizens, and so I've always, my primary concern has been for the citizens. As a property owner and a business owner in the city, even if I didn't live in the city, I would probably feel like I needed to have, or that I should have a voice, owning property or even having a business, so I can understand business owners want to have a say. I'd have to think about it a little more on that. Even if the state did change it, I'd have to think about it on a little bit more on how it could be fairly done. Just because it could be, if you've got 400 businesses in the city and they all voted, for things of the city, that's sometimes more than the citizens that votes. So it could be a little unfair, but I would definitely be open to changing that to allow some input by citizens. And I know some states, I've researched that, some states out west actually is changing things a little bit to where that, business owners or property owners does have a say in elections. So.
Thank you. Ms. Arp, if you will be the first to respond to this next question. Research is an important part of problem solving. What are you willing to do in terms of bringing in unbiased, experienced consultants before making costly, important decisions? I'd be happy to. Research is an important part of problem solving. What are you willing to do in terms of bringing in unbiased, experienced consultants before making costly, important decisions?
Well, actually, I am in favor of that. I actually, I think as Thomas mentioned, an investigation with the city. it was my deal to actually bring in a third party rather than the city council vote and make a decision that could have possibly went on to Superior Court, and the cost of legal fees and that type of thing. So I felt like that was the fair thing to do. But I definitely think that we're just citizens that is not educated in a lot of things. So we need guidance from professionals and people that's experienced in certain fields. So I do think that is important. Anything. And as far as me, I try to study and get guidance from professionals, from the city attorney, of course the charter. So I do try to do my research, but still yet that's limited. So professionals is important in the area.
Mr. Gaddis, research is an important part of problem solving. What are you willing to do in terms of bringing in unbiased, experienced consultants before making costly, important decisions?
It's important that we realize we don't know everything. A lot of the citizens know more of the problems of Blue Ridge than the council does. And not saying anything about the council, I mean, we go through the daily livings. We know when it rains hard, it floods out. So we have to research with citizens to find out where these areas are. I find it very important that we research for a third party. It's got to be outsourced. Sometimes being in a small town, this is the problem you have, is everybody's related to everybody, or somebody went to school with somebody. So it's important we research, we get an unbiased person. And we've got to use unbiased people too. We can't just continue outsourcing way out of town. We will start, probably, hopefully, when I'm elected, we will start with the city attorney.
Okay, Mr. Gaddis, if you'll start on this question. And the question is, name 2 ways in which you think council members can better work together as a group for the good of the city.
Well, that comes down in personality, honestly. I just grew up here, I'm just country boy. If I got out of line in a council meeting, I know my mom would probably make me go break my own switch and wear me out. We got to understand, we got to treat each other with dignity, respect, and we got to treat the citizens and business owners with dignity and respect. No matter how our emotions are at the time, we got to stop being a people who's wearing their emotions on their sleeve. We got to be able to just smile and take it. We got to realize we're wrong sometimes. And I think the council, with the mayor being more overseeing of the conduct, but if I bring in high school kids to see this, I don't want the high school kids being the ones who are acting professional. I want the council to be a representation for the high school kids, for the future generation, so they can see how this is done. What are 2 ways? Come on, people. Let's just be people. Let's just be respectful. Let's bite our tongues. Let's not be so emotional. And let's just get through the meeting. Because I promise, I want to see high schoolers in there. I want to see kids in there to get used to this. So now, it's really going to be more imperative than ever that we be more respectful to one another.
Ms. Arp, would you like me to repeat the question? Name 2 ways in which you think council members can better work together as a group for the good of the city.
I think that personalities and maybe personal dislikes have played a role in the council's divide. I do believe that if we put the citizens first and our personal differences aside, I believe that would help. And I can't say, I don't know that that's been the case. But again, I represent the people of Blue Ridge, the citizens of Blue Ridge. When I ran for office, I talked to a lot of people. I said, you know, I told them what I was in support of and what I wanted to see, and I feel like that I have been committed to representing them, and I feel like that if everybody would keep that in mind on who they represent, giving respect to others, but then again, that's a two-way street. I don't think the council has always been given respect, and someone would have to sit in my seat or the other mayor council seat to really know how they would act or how they may respond. It's difficult, I can say that from my own experience. It's difficult, it never gets easier, but I'm an outspoken person. I say what I think. It's black or white, right or wrong, but I do think that keeping the citizens' interest at a heart would help with this, and not you know, getting personal about things.
Thank you. Here's a question from the audience. Ms. Arp, if you'll respond first. Will you, as a council member, hold yourself accountable to the laws and regulations of Blue Ridge?
Absolutely. I started studying the charter when I was elected, so I had 2 months to study the charter and state laws before I went into office. I probably should recite the charter back to you. I know the laws very well. That's been one thing that's been a problem. When I know something's not done right, I call it out. But yes, I would absolutely follow the laws. It's imperative in any. I own many businesses, and we've got law and order to go by, state, federal. It is very important to follow rules and laws.
Mr. Gaddis, will you, as a council member, hold yourself accountable to the laws and regulations of the city of Blue Ridge?
Yes. Without laws, there's chaos and anarchy. So, yes, we need the laws, and we have to show the next generation that we obey the laws.
Okay, that's it for the question session. Now we'll go to the closing statements. And Ms. Arp, if you'll give your closing statement again, you have 2 minutes.
I'm going to finish my, what I did get finished on the introduction. I was saying I've played a major role in overseeing and accomplishing much needed improvements for our city, such as the downtown East Main Street and sidewalk improvements, completing and reopening the depot, repairs and repaving of residential streets throughout the city, designing and overseeing the installation of a new playground downtown, improving the city pool facilities, and supporting thousands of dollars of water and sewer upgrades. It took dedication and determination in working together with fellow council members to save the $1.5 million needed to make these improvements. I made a commitment 4 years ago to help get these projects completed, and I'm pleased to say today that I have fulfilled my commitment. 4 years ago, I made the decision to run for council because I wanted to serve the people I live among every day, and I wanted to help make improvements for my community for the betterment of the citizens, businesses, and visitors alike. I've been instrumental in helping make much needed improvements throughout our city become reality. I am seeking re-election for Post 3 City Council because I believe I can continue to be a leader in the decision making for the betterment of Blue Ridge. If re-elected, I would like to start planning, saving, and working toward other goals that are needed, other goals and improvements that are needed in our community. As I said earlier, one being an indoor pool and our infrastructure. There's many other needs, but I would love to start working toward those. I think it would be a great asset to our community to have an indoor pool that people from all ages could exercise and recreate year-round. It's been an honor to serve my community and my people. I humbly ask for your trust and support. I will continue to be committed to the citizens, committed to the community, and committed to getting the job done. Thank you.
2-minute closing statement.
Again, I'm not much of a long talker. I'll make it short. I'm about the future for Blue Ridge. I'm about the next generation. What we have to do. I'm also about the present also, what we can do. Community park is a priority that I like to see get advanced. But I know infrastructure is the key at this point. 4 years ago, candidates came up here and talked over these same things. We had parking issues. We had infrastructure issues. And one candidate had their block of votes and could vote anything they wanted. And here we are 4 years later talking about parking and infrastructure again. I ask that you vote for me because if I get a chance to vote with the citizens' knowledge to help me guide me through my help to understanding, and I get a block of votes, I won't ask you to be reelected if I fail Blue Ridge.
If the candidates for post 4 can please join us.
Okay, and after they do that, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, so we're going to give everybody a chance to just stretch their legs. You'll be back in 10 minutes, please.
And just a reminder, we have students that if you would like to submit a question, please raise your hand and they'll bring index cards and pens and questions on it.
everybody else can go ahead and take their seats, we'll go ahead and get back started again. Maybe some folks in the lobby, we're going to give them just a second to get back in, and then we'll get started.
So we had expected Mike Jacobs, who is a candidate for Post 4 City Council, and I don't believe that he's here tonight. So we will start with the candidate that is here, Robbie Cornelius. Please welcome her. And if you'll please give us your opening statements, and if you can, limit it to 2 minutes.
Welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you for everyone coming out this afternoon to take part out of your day to come and listen to the candidates, see what we have to say. I'm Robbie Cornelius. I am a candidate for Post 4 City Council. I'm 1982 graduate of Fannin County High School. I'm a lifelong resident of Fannin County. I've been a resident of the city of Blue Ridge for the past 35 years. I have 2 children and 4 granddaughters. They all live in Blue Ridge also. I'm currently employed at the Fannin County Tax Commissioner's Office. Previously, I worked at Landmark Financial as Assistant Manager for 8 years. I've worked for the public for the past, since I was 15 years old. I've got a lot of experience in different jobs that I've had throughout over my years that I think I could bring to the table of the city of Blue Ridge that would help make Blue Ridge a better place. I attend Boyle Baptist Church. I enjoy working outside, walking downtown, spending time with my family. I enjoy helping others. I chose to run for City Council at Blue Ridge because I felt no one else in the city was stepping up and no one else would do it. Somebody needs to get in there and fight for the people. Someone needs to be in there that can get along with the other council members that can work together, make Blue Ridge a better place.
So this is the question portion, and we'll have several questions for you. If you'll please limit your response to 2 minutes. The first question is, what are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
My top priority is the parking issue downtown. Most of the residents that I know don't go downtown because there's nowhere to park, so they kind of steer away from it. If we had better parking down there, I feel like more of your local citizens would participate in the functions downtown and visit the business again.
Okay, the next question. An ordinance already exists that would create a downtown development authority in Blue Ridge. What benefits do you think a downtown development authority could give the city? Would you support the establishment of a downtown development authority? Why or why not?
I do support that. It would allow the business owners to be more profitable. There are loans available for the businesses if there was that in place for them. And therefore, it does have to be approved by the council, and one council member has to be on board for that.
Thank you. Parking in downtown Blue Ridge is an issue about which many people have expressed concerns. What creative ideas do you have to solve this problem?
I think the property beside the City Hall would be a great asset to add more parking at that position because we already own that property. There's no sense in going out and buying new property. Most of the property in town that is for sale is so expensive that the city can't afford it. So I would say use the property that we do have as far as the farmers market with the shuttle that they've been talking about. I think that would cut the cost downtown.
Okay, the next question. What do you see as the city's major infrastructure problems, and what are your specific plans to address these issues in a timely manner?
The biggest thing I see is the sewer system and the drain issues because of the flooding that we've had over the summer. And we've had two or three times. That has been, a disaster. It takes a lot of manpower to do that. I feel like the city council are on the right track to address those issues. We just have to stay on top of that and make sure that it's in the budget to repair all those lines.
The next question for you. We have heard that other towns in the area are actively pursuing relocating the Blue Ridge Scenic Railroad, even using incentives to do so. If the railway were to look elsewhere, do you think that incentives might be an option to keep the railroad in Blue Ridge? If so, what type of incentives? If not, why not?
If the train left Fannin, I think it would be detrimental to our economy downtown. That brings in more tourism than any other thing in our area. To keep it there, I think the council needs to work with the downtown people and the train. And we need to work together and get with them to see if there's ways we can help promote it to make it more beneficial. And parking is a big issue for the train when they do come. They have issues parking people. If they do open up a lot at Temple or the First Baptist Church, they're charged there. A lot of them don't mind that because it does help them. The youth groups is mostly what those funds are for. So I say, the city council needs to work with the train depot staff and try to help people here.
Okay, that concludes the final portion, or the portion of the questions. Now, if you'd like to make a closing statement, if you'll limit your statement to 2 minutes, please.
If I'm elected city council member, I feel I'll be a great asset to the citizens of Blue Ridge and to the council. Due to my years of experience in finance, property taxes, and working with the public, I feel I can bring great ideas to the table. I'm a hard worker. I'm eager to learn more about the city's plans for the future. I do support the development of the parking. I support the police department. I know there's rumors around saying that they're wanting to get rid of it, but city needs the police department, and we need to have them there. I support the downtown businesses. I support the train. They bring a huge portion to the revenue. Without them, the residents' taxes would be so high that they probably couldn't afford them. So it's very important that we do keep them there for the residents. Thank you.
Candidates for post 5 could please join us on stage.
By the way, when I announced the run, everybody said break a leg for good luck. I didn't know they meant literally.
We're checking to see if David Stewart is here. I know we're running a little bit early, so I know that you have a broken leg, but if you can just hold on for 1 second.
It'll make me stronger in this leg.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go forward. If you will take 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you again to the Chamber and everybody who has been involved in tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nathan Phipps. I'm the guy on the billboard, so to speak, as everybody recognizes me. I am a 4th generation and lifelong native of the Blue Ridge area. My passion for this town, both yesterday and today, runs deep. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, as an owner of a few businesses in town. I am in the real estate business, hospitality, restaurant, all which I believe have provided great experiences that will help me for future ideas of Blue Ridge. In addition to being a businessman, I am a father of 2 wonderful kids. I have twin sons that are now freshmen in college, Logan and Grant. And for those of you who are parents, you know if you can raise 2 teenage boys, you can do anything. Giving back to the community that helped raise me is and will always be a priority. I'm a board member of the newly founded Boys and Girls Club of North Georgia. I'm a founding member of the Blue Ridge Lodging Association. I'm a member of the Northeast Georgia Board of Realtors, and also involved in the Appalachian Children's Center and Easter Sales. The common core value of these programs is to enable people to reach their full potential, especially our younger generation. To counsel, educate, to connect, and to advocate for a community that should be our priority. I do and have always attended the city council meetings. I am a candidate that's running because I want to, not because I was asked to run by any individual or any group.
Thank you.
We'll sit down for the questions.
So this is the question portion of the forum, and we have several questions for you. If you'll please limit your responses to 2 minutes. The first question: what are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
Well, not to sound like a broken record, because I think the candidates that have been up here before have addressed most of the issues, and there's many of them. I wish I could have a top 5. But the top 3 is definitely infrastructure. I was recently invited to some homes down on Ada Street during the flooding where water was actually coming into their house. I can't imagine living under those conditions. So I think we need to get our storm drains fixed. We need to get our water and sewer systems fixed. I also think that parking has been a hot topic. I know the current council has brought forth several resolutions. I don't know that there's been a comprehensive plan agreed upon by the current council, but I want to follow through with the ideas that have been set forth and implement a parking, both short-term and long-term, immediately.
Okay, the next question. Some city residents feel forgotten when so much emphasis is placed on downtown Blue Ridge and its businesses. What improvements does the city need to make to benefit city residents? What would be your plan to institute these improvements?
Well, that's a good question, and in some statements I made previously, it seems like there's been a divide that has been tried to be created in between the residences and the businesses, when in fact we need to unify, because the better our downtown is, the better it's going to make it for both the residences and the businesses. The money that the city collects in tax revenues is what goes to pay, in addition to the property taxes. But in order to keep those taxes low, the tax money we get goes to help improve the infrastructure. It goes to help maintain the roads. And I think that is a common goal of the businesses and the residents. So we want to focus on, I think, both the residences and the businesses. And I do feel like, from talking to some of the residences, that they feel like they have been left out of the equation, and that all the focus is just on the downtown businesses. But in talking to a lot of the business owners, they are very aware that the residents are just as important as them. So I think the council can focus on both.
The next question is this: what would you do to curb the litter downtown and throughout the city?
Are we talking litter and trash, or all the cats that are downtown? Only kidding. So first of all, the city is understaffed with a lot of the workers, not only within the city hall, needing some sort of city administrator and a zoning person, but also out on the streets. And I know a lot of the businesses and some of the residents have complained about the litter and the trash. And first of all, I'm disappointed that people with the litter altogether. Blue Ridge is a beautiful town, and we want to keep it that way. But I think we need to just actively have a city employee that goes around and makes sure they keep all the trash cleaned up, especially during all the festivals. And I know last 2 years ago, the city council had implemented that once a month, I believe, they would go by and get all the brush and debris from each house, which is a service to the residences, and haul it off. So I think if we just actively stay on the trash, the brush, and everything, and keep somebody designated to that job, I think it will help.
Okay, the next question. There have been concerns expressed about the high cost of legal fees paid by the city in recent years. What will be your plan to reduce these costs? Would making a change in the position of city attorney be a part of this plan?
You picked the perfect person to answer this question. Yes. So the legal fees that have been spent over the last few years is exorbitant. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I think if we had council members who are qualified, who have experience and knowledge in certain backgrounds and fields, and all get along, and we can use our experiences to help benefit the city, then it will cut down on some of our legal fees. Obviously, we're not attorneys, and we do need to rely on attorneys when we need to. But paying attorneys' fees because people don't get along is unacceptable. It's a waste of the taxpayers' money. And I can tell you, I have worked with Mr. Soffin on many occasions in the last many years. He's been nothing but unprofessional always. Talked in circles, and I will vote to remove him as the city attorney if I'm elected.
We have heard that there are people who vote who don't actually live in the city. What will you propose to ensure there is no fraudulent voting? How would you feel about having to declare your homestead exemption in the city in order to vote and run for office?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about that. Of course, there is a difference in your residence and a domicile, and I guess the state has been involved very lately, and a homeless person can claim their domicile in a tent in the city, and they're a legal resident because they you can't have voter suppression. I definitely think there needs to be some updates to the city charter, which I'm definitely in favor of. I think to run for a elected office, I certainly think it's fair to have to be able to file homestead exemption, prove it is your primary residence. And honestly, I don't think any of the candidates running for political office would have an issue with that.
Okay, that concludes the question portion. If you'd like to make a closing statement, you'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you again for your time tonight. Many issues, all that are vitally important, have been addressed tonight. It's one thing to talk and discuss the issue, but follow through is key. For those of you who know me, you know I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work. If we equip our council with people that have an eagerness to work together, that have experience and knowledge to get the job done. I'm Nathan Phipps. I'm running for Post 5 City Council, and I would appreciate your vote and support on November 7th.
I'd like to invite the candidates for mayor to join us on stage, please. Please welcome the candidates for mayor for the city of Blue Ridge, Donna Whitener and Brandon Doyle. We'll start this portion with an opening statement by each candidate. Please limit your opening statements to 2 minutes. And Ms. Whitener, if you would please go first.
You placed your trust in me by electing me for mayor of the city of Blue Ridge in 2010. You reaffirmed your support in 2014. Today I'm asking for your support once again for my 3rd term. I am a lifelong resident of Fannin County in the city of Blue Ridge. I have 3 children and 2 grandchildren. I am the owner of Town & Country Furniture, where I employ 25 people. I am committed to the city of Blue Ridge. I have an open door policy, an ear ready to listen, and my hope is that you find me approachable and reachable. You deserve a stable, supportive local government, and I want to provide the stability. In 2010, I inherited the city recovering from an economic downturn. It took over a year and a half for the city to recover financially. We lost jobs and construction projects, but the tourism industry grew steadily year to year. During the last 8 years, I have witnessed the tremendous impact that business development has had on downtown Blue Ridge. We have a vibrant downtown, and that has led to increased tourism, a growing economy, and job creation. We truly are a tourist destination. Both residents and visitors know that there is no better place to enjoy Mother Nature and to shop, dine, explore, relax, and live than Blue Ridge. I am proud that approximately 4,500 people are employed in our city. During my term, taxpayers have received a reduction in the millage rate 4 times. We have been recipients of over $7 million in grant money, allowing us to make improvements that would have otherwise been impossible to do. Roads have been paved, water and sewer lines have been replaced, 2 new water storage tanks built, and we have completed an overhaul on our water plant that should take us through with the technology that we have now for the next 50 years. Regarding my future goals, I support the development of a master plan that manages city resources while I'm done? Sorry. I talk a lot.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, if you will please share your opening statement with us.
Thank you. My name is Brendan Doyle. I've spent 11.5 years here in Blue Ridge. I first came to Blue Ridge in 1994, and it captured my heart. I was very, very privileged to have a 3.5-year window in my assignment as a minister at that time. I retired 8 years ago, and I came back to Blue Ridge, and I have made it my hometown since. I have grown in general diversified services out in the county area, and I built a little shop for a couple of years, and then changed it into an eatery and a pub and a restaurant in downtown Blue Ridge. And growing to know the people over the last 20-odd years of my life here in Fannin County, the intimacy that impacts us all is a very, very beautiful thing. The harness dynamo of energy of entrepreneurship is absolutely phenomenal. And when we see people coming from near and far, when we capture that type of energy, we can be a great beacon of light for the future. We can look to the intimacy of who and what we have been entrusted with within the community. We can grow to enrich one another as professionals. We can support the residents of our community and grow within the ambassadorship of communicating in a very favourable visionary aspect. And bringing visionaries in to help us grow and model our growing pains and stresses. As you all know, we are undergoing tremendously over the last decade of our lives, but there has been a tremendous beacon of light that has been set. There's a lot of good cornerstones that have been laid into the heart of the community, but we must not forget who we are as a people. For a town without its people is a town without its soul, and I would like to represent that on behalf of the community at large. Thank you.
As before, we have several questions for the candidates. They'll each have an opportunity to answer all questions, and they'll have 2 minutes to do so. The first question will be from Ms. Whitener. What are your top priorities for the city of Blue Ridge for the next 3 years?
Parking, parking, parking. Parking is our biggest problem in the downtown area. So the city has actually looked at the farmers market as one of our options. We've talked about decks. We've talked about putting some extra parking at City Hall. So parking is my #1 priority. It has been for 8 years, but it's fallen on deaf ears. Infrastructure, of course, we've heard everybody say that, but we have water lines that were put in the 50s and 60s that are in dire need of being replaced and repaired. Sewer lines that are terracotta, and those are caving in, so that's another issue that I would really like to have addressed. Stormwater, we have folks that are having flooding issues. As someone said earlier, we have a huge list, but those are my 4 top priorities. How about that?
Thank you.
I think our people, to serve them, to live the visionaries through the infrastructure, and to see how we can continue to expand and grow for the future.
Okay, our next question. Mr. Doyle, we'll let you begin with this one. How do you propose to make improvements in the conducting of city council meetings so that prompt action on business matters can be conducted in a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect?
I think it's respecting everybody's professional diversity. What we come together in unity as one to try and accomplish for the enrichment of the community at large, to try and bring a peaceful and a professional level of dignity and respect, and allow that unity to grow for the future of our children that come after us.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Whitener, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I know it. One of the things that I would like to see done in our council meetings, we have not adopted Robert's Rules of Order. I would actually like to adopt Robert's Rules of Order that would help us with being able to follow in the meeting. We have an agenda policy, but I would like to see an agenda policy that will work for not only the council but the citizens of the city. So I would like an agenda policy that is a little more clear, not so gray. Workshops. We used to do workshops probably about 3 years ago, and those seemed to really help. We had a workshop meeting where we had a lot of chances to talk about various things, and then we would come back a couple of hours, well, that afternoon, and we would actually have a meeting. So you had the day pretty much to think through your decision. So it wasn't just an instant decision. And training. Mayor and council, I really think if they do their training, not only the initial training that you have to do, you will be able to do some other things through GMA, and that will actually tell you what your roles are as a mayor and council, so you understand your role while you're in the city council meeting, so you know how to handle it.
The next question will be answered first by Ms. Whitener. Do you have any ideas related to changes that you would make in the city police department?
One of the things that I hear from a lot of the residents and business owners, they would like to see more drive-bys in the residential area so that the police officers have a great presence there. I would also like to see our officers maybe foot patrol in our downtown area so that people they're able to approach the officers rather than the car just driving by in the downtown area. We do, with having 19 festivals a year, we do have a really tough time keeping enough officers on staff, so we would like to see other folks, we'd like to actually increase our staff. I know there's rumors out there we'd like to do away with our police department, but I actually think we need to increase and add some more police officers because we are a busy little town.
Thank you. Mr. Doyle, do you have any ideas related to changes that you would make in the city police department?
Education, training. The police officers of our city, we pride ourselves on being the Maybury of the mountains. So I think the lads have done a phenomenal job on the beat on the street, getting down to knowing and who we are as citizens and who our community is a very important thing. Not that we're just written as a citation number, but that there are grey matter and humanitarian things that we have to factor into the professionalism of what we guard and what we steward. For a police officer is the guardian of the citizens of the community, and their presence is well received throughout the heart of the town, and I think their ambassadorship is certainly something that we should all be very grateful for.
Okay, Mr. Dole, we'll start with you on this question. Do you plan to bring back appointment of council members to head departments like roads, recreation, public safety, water, sewer, office, administration as was done in the past? Why or why not?
We have to have professionals in place in order to manage and to continue to expand our demands within the infrastructure of the community. These professionals are very, very important keystones within our community, and we're at a very critical turning point as regards to how the pendulum swings on the infrastructure of water, sewerage, or even foul water runoff, for example. And we have to be visionaries. I mean, the infrastructure was built so long ago with just a simple, small downtown economic housing and home businesses. But when we look at over 400 businesses lying through the heart of the city, it is a horrific expansion and the development of buildings and the foul water culverts under the ground, for example. We have to open the shores in order to accommodate this thing, otherwise we might as well get ready for Noah's Ark for the next heavy rain that's coming to town.
Ms. White, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I think I know it. Based on the city charter, we actually do not have, in our city charter, they're not considered street departments or street commissioners, road commissioners, whichever term you want to use, water, parks, and things like that. It's based on a post system. It's post 1 through 5. So when you run, you actually run for one of those 5 posts. With doing that, the mayor actually does have the authority to assign those post members to committees. We do not, in the past, the old council, before my 8 years, had actually assigned street department and those kind of things, so people just got accustomed to that. But I actually did committees. For example, I did a finance committee, and Harold Herndon is one of my members on that. So Harold, myself, and Alicia meet, and then we have all of our department heads in, which are our supervisors. And I know, did you call it department heads? I think actually, in your question, if you have a post person over a department, it's really hard for that supervisor to know, or those employees to know who to answer to, whether it be their direct supervisor or a council member. So it gets quite confusing. So I actually like the committees better than trying to have a council person serving as a department head. And it just, makes it cleaner for the employees.
The next question for the candidates. Would you commit to a regular work session with officials of Fannin County and the cities of McKaysville and Morganton? What other actions would you propose to improve relationships between the cities and the county? Ms. Whitener, would you respond first?
We don't have regular work sessions, but I do meet with the county water authority occasionally, or the commissioners. I do watch their meetings occasionally, so I know what's going on in the county, and I do watch some of the McKaysville's, and I do talk with Tom Seabold and Mr. England on a regular basis. I think we have a great working relationship now. If I call and need something or need some help from those folks, they're usually really good to respond, and the same with us. The city of Blue Ridge is always available for our county or either of our sister cities. As a matter of fact, October the 13th, we have a Hometown Connection meeting that's going to take place in Blue Ridge, and GMA is going to help us with that, which is the Georgia Municipal Association, and it's to bring all of us together. And so maybe we can come up with some creative ideas and kind of work, and maybe I'll suggest a strategic meeting every quarter or every 6 months with all 4 entities.
Would you commit to a regular work session with the officials of Fannin County and the cities of McKaysville and Morganton? What other actions would you propose to improve relationships between the cities and the county?
I think on behalf of the City Council and our commissioners here within the county, there's an awful divide within communication. I mean, when you look at the logistics of building our courthouse back in the 90s, for phase 2 for 20 years in the foyer of the courthouse, there was a beautiful 3-story parking deck with a helicopter pad where the fire department is presently located. It vanished there about 11 months ago, I think, after all those years, but it was just a blind thing gathering dust. And when we look at even the aspects of parking stresses, it is united we stand, divided we fall, and I think just the leadership of both commissioners and our neighbouring small town cities are very, very important, because we should be there to support one another through thick and thin.
Okay, this next question, Mr. Doyle, I'll let you start with this one. Currently, there are no term limits for city officials. How do you feel about term limits?
I would be in favour of it. I mean, we all love to do what we have been able to create within the heart of the committee. It's a wonderful thing to be able to take the challenges. It's a wonderful thing to be able to hand on the baton, knowing that you've done a very diligent, frugal and stewarding job of one's time in office. But it is also important too that with the younger generations coming up, that vision can be mentored to, and our children, hopefully, they can continue to stay and grow. We're very blessed to have a 3rd level education institution here in Fannin County that we never had before. That's another step to the future of being able to keep our children at home, for example. So I think just being able to pass it on and mentor, it is a lonely chair at the top in any office, needless to say, but we have to have the affirmation and support of those that are our team players.
Thank you, Ms. Whitener.
I'm not in favor of term limits, and especially in the city of Blue Ridge or small cities like our city. With term limits, and actually, as you see, we don't have 4 or 5 folks running for each post, so it lets you know that there's not a lot of folks out there that want to jump into government. It's a thankless job, actually. But in order to be able to be successful, a successful mayor or a successful council, you have to know what's going on in your area. You have to understand government, and we can all run businesses, but government is a different beast. There's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, and it takes a while to get acclimated to that. So by the time you learn, your term's up. So I'm not in favor of term limits.
Ms. White, will you respond to this question first? Would you support development of a master plan for downtown Blue Ridge, including a traffic flow and parking study done by a professional engineering firm? Why or why not?
Yes, I support a master plan, and I also support it being done by a professional. As most of the council members that we have now are the people that are running, we're not experts in traffic flow or safety measures and things like that, so we need to rely on the experts to do that, because we are dealing with people that could be injured or it would cause some safety issues. So yes, I'm in favor of all of the above.
I'm very much in favor of it too. I think we did a beautiful job there a couple of years ago when we brought professional visionaries of the city together to look at the parking stresses of the city. And I think we can go back to our expenditure and our evaluations of those type of things, and we can pull a couple of healthy leaves out of it. As I say, we can't just keep adding and adding to the city, whether it is park events or extra train rides. There has to be a medium and balance for us all. And we also have to look at, encouraging and inviting our ambassadorship of our citizens to be able to come downtown and feel a part of home life, and to be able to be promoters for tourists as they go out into their work environment throughout the county, for example.
Okay, Mr. Doyle, we'll start with you on this one. When a council has difficulty agreeing on anything, it's rarely the fault of only one side. What do you see as the best plan going forward to promote good discussion and true compromise for the benefit of the entire community?
That's a $64,000 question. I think the views of professionalism have to be respected. Respect and unity are very, very important things. I admire a professional to agree to disagree with them, but there still has to be that common thread that knits us all together as one. I think if that has been constrained or broken, the wound of a past circumstance can have a prohibiting aspect for the future that could get a little upsetting or a little toxic or a little estranged, for example. But we have to look at it from a very clear aspect. It is, we're all driven by emotions, but sometimes we have to park our emotions for the betterment of the citizens that we serve here within the heart of the city, and for the economic prosperity of commercialism as well.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that question.
Okay, it says, when a council has difficulty agreeing on anything, it's rarely the fault of only one side. What do you see as the best plan going forward to promote good discussion and true compromise for the benefit of the entire community?
Well, a lot of times when the council disagrees, or I disagree with the council, or they disagree with me, whichever, one of the things that I do, a lot of our decisions do not have to be immediate. A lot of times things get tabled, or we have some time to think it through. There's always an opportunity to research those issues, and there's always a great staff at the City of Blue Ridge, because those folks have been there for years. So always refer to people that are experts in those areas in the city that may be part of a disagreement. Those people can guide you through some of it. If not, maybe you flip a coin. But go back to those folks that do the job every day. They're your best resource. They can help you work through it.
The scenic railway has been an excellent source of tourism for Blue Ridge since 1998. What improvements with the train relations would you suggest? Ms. Wagner, would you please respond first?
I'm a huge supporter of the scenic railway. It does bring about 80,000 people a year here. We do have a good communication line between the folks that are actually inside of the depot itself, and I've actually been in contact with the CEO and a couple of other folks, their attorney. It would be a shame to lose our railway. It's been here for years, off and on. It's an icon for the city of Blue Ridge, and I think we need to do whatever it takes to keep them in the city of Blue Ridge.
We're not the only small town that suffers from railway tourists. I mean, when you look at Bryson and Tennessee, for example, it was a wonderful thing how those visionaries of the city have been able to divide the train down through different blocks down through the heart of the city. They have a municipal parking area on the outside that they do transit buses in and out, so the ebb and flow of community life can continue to be enriched rather than the town being saturated just by one entity where there are over 400 businesses here in the city, and even on a double train run the town can be in gridlock for 16.5 hours a day, and when you put a park event on top of that, it is absolutely mayhem. So I think we need to come to the table. They've said they've been looking at things for a lengthy period of time, and it would be nice to hear what their partnership back to the heart of the community would be after 18 successful years of supporting them as they have grown into such a beautiful tourist market for the city. But we need their help as much as they need ours as well.
Okay, that completes the question portion of this segment for these candidates, so we'll move to the closing statements. And Ms. Whitener, if you'll go first, and you'll have 2 minutes.
In closing, I would like to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to speak today. You trusted me with your vote in 2010 and once again in 2014, and today I'm asking for your support as I seek my 3rd term as mayor of the city of Blue Ridge. As a lifelong resident of Fannin County, I am committed to Blue Ridge and its people. You deserve a stable local government, and I want to provide that stability and leadership. Throughout my 8 years of service, I have learned that developing positive relationships with city, county, and state leadership is critical to community growth. I want to continue strengthening those relationships. I am committed to the development of a master plan that manages city resources while anticipating future growth. I am committed to updating the city's infrastructure and to the development of a comprehensive parking plan. And I welcome your input and your feedback on the needs of the city. Please reach out to me with your thoughts. I am asking for your continued support. Please consider me, Donna Whitener, when you cast your vote on November the 7th. Thank you.
And Mr. Doyle, your closing statement, you'll limit it to 2 minutes.
I hope you would give due consideration. Ms. Whitener has done a phenomenal job in her tonsure as mayor over the last 8 years. But if we look to the future and we continue to build these cornerstones into our community life, if you see it within yourself that I am capable of bringing harmony and unity to the heart of the city, then I would like to give you the opportunity to be able to vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the forum for this year. I thank you for your attention and hope that the information that has been portrayed has been enlightening and help you to be an educated voter. If you don't do anything else, please be sure to vote on November 7th. Thank you.